There is mounting evidence and studies regarding the so-called orgasm gap between men and women. And recent data indicates that, unfortunately, 40% of women experience sexual dysfunction associated with a chronic difficulty in achieving orgasm. But things are very different for men, okay? According to these studies, all groups of men, gay, bisexual, heterosexual, doesn't matter what their sexuality is, orgasm more than all groups of women. It is important to mention, though, that lesbians usually have an easier time orgasming than straight women, which is the most unsurprising thing that I've ever heard in my entire life. So
yeah, well, there's two aspects to that, right? So the heart of this story focuses on anatomy, and if your anatomy is structured in a certain way, you're less likely to orgasm. It isn't him, it isn't you, and what you're doing wrong. It's just likely your anatomy. But the lesbian partners kind of disprove that a little. They don't disprove it, but it lets you know there's certainly other factors, which is that if you're more familiar with the female body or you care more to find out, you'll be able to please her, because the lesbian couples don't have different anatomy at a different rate than straight couples do. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's not like you have the anatomy and therefore you are or aren't lesbian, right?
Yeah, those are two totally separate factors. So even with the same percentage of anatomy being different within women and within couples, lesbians do wind up orgasming more. So that seems like that's a little bit of more of their partner put more effort into it.
Yeah, the focus is then orgasm when it's two women. When it's men, it's another word for you. It's an androcentric model of sex, which means male-centered, right? Which focuses on the male orgasm. So you come in, and if you get it, then you get it. If you don't, then whatever. I got mine. So I think with lesbian women, the focus is pleasing your partner, whereas with men, that may not be the focus all the time.
But to be fair to men now, this, okay, to be more andro something.
Yeah.
Okay, you have to understand why men are frustrated, because 40% of women have trouble orgasming. So they think like, and remember, people can't escape their own perspective. So I bet you a lot of men, and a lot of men don't, but a lot of men probably think like, what's the big deal? I came, why can't you, like, oh, this is such a pain in the ass. Why do I have to keep like, trying all this stuff? And then so they, a certain percentage of them get frustrated and go, I did the best I could.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that there are so many different factors at play, right? So there are biological factors, or at least physical factors, and there's certain ways that some women's anatomy helps them achieve orgasms easily as opposed to other women, and that has to do with where the clitoris is, how large the clitoris is. All of that actually does play a role. But there's also the component of how arousal for women is just as important mentally as it is physically, right? So you have to be in the right place mentally for a lot of women. So if you're self-conscious, if you're not in the mood to have sex, that could really impact whether or not you will climax, right? And so there was another really great point made by a psychology assistant professor, David Frederick, and he says women have a higher body dissatisfaction than men, and it interferes with their sex life more. This can impact sexual satisfaction and ability to orgasm if people are focusing more on these concerns than on the sexual experience. So it could be that they're insecure about their bodies, or it could be that they're worried about being perceived a certain way in the bedroom because of societal pressures to be a good girl and this and that. You know what I'm saying?
All of that relates to your overall point about the headspace needs to be there, but that's true for men too. That's not.
I was going to say, what exactly what part of that is?
There aren't a lot of men who are like, okay, I'm about to orgasm. On the other hand, I'm unattractive. Like, hey, if I'm about to orgasm, that's pretty much the only thing on my mind. And hey, if I was unattractive and I did it anyway, score.
Yeah, for the men who are frustrated that their partners can't achieve orgasm via sex, you gotta try other modes of stimulation. And I think that's also what the article is arguing, is that if it doesn't come from vaginal intercourse, then you gotta
stimulate the clitoris. Yeah,
exactly.
And so, okay, let me explain that, because I think there's two super interesting things we haven't even discussed here yet. So to Amberia's point, here's what one of the researchers said. We found that the distance between the clitoris and the urinary opening, which is called, this is unbelievable, cummed, Okay, I'm not kidding, CUMD, okay?
Why'd you make that face?
Okay, which is called cummed, it indicates whether or not a woman is inclined to have an orgasm with intercourse or not. If it's below 2 centimeters, then she likely is going to have an orgasm with intercourse, okay? So, okay, I don't know what happened there, but that was a funny female moment when I'm like, 2 centimeters, you know what I'm saying? Okay, anyway, so something as obscure and that you probably never even thought of, not likely, of course you never thought of it, the relationship of your clitoris to your urinary opening, that apparently makes all the difference in the world. And so,
and I remember a while ago, you and I actually talked about a study that talked about the size of a woman's clitoris, right? And so the study found that there is a significant correlation between a larger clitoris and whether or not a woman can orgasm. She has an easier time orgasming as a result. But what the researchers couldn't figure out was whether or not it was a cause or effect thing. Like, they couldn't figure out if it was because you orgasm so much, it somehow has an impact on the size of your clitoris, or if you just have a large clitoris. I don't know. It's
the
all
first seems unlikely, but okay.
It was interesting.
Yeah.
No matter what, it debunks this idea that men come to you with, oh, the size of mine is gonna. It's like, no, actually, it's the size of mine that matters in this equation. Yeah,
that's right. And so, by the way, if it's not within 2 inches, the clitoris to the urinary opening, then they say, what you might have to do is manually stimulate the clitoris during sex. So try a little harder is the bottom line to that. So, and by the way, some women still don't orgasm, and and you've got a whole range. So, and if that's at the end of the day, that's your situation, don't beat yourself up over it. It might simply be a matter of anatomy, but give it a real college try first, okay? And then finally, I found this super interesting because it has something to do with evolution. So apparently our ancestors orgasm used to more easily cause ovulation, or used to cause ovulation. And now, not Homo sapiens, but our ancestors of humans overall. And so there was a point to the female orgasm, a biological, evolutionary point to it. Now it doesn't. Now it is on a menstrual cycle, obviously.
Yeah.
So it might be that we are in mid-evolution. And since we're humans, we got stuck here. Like, there is no more evolution going on because we have manipulated our environment until our environment fights back with the ozone layer being depleted. But anyway, for the moment being.
Maybe that's a good thing, because if you're not gonna be able to orgasm at all in the future as like a human race, as females, like, what's the point of living?
There's already so much inequality. Like, I can't endure it without being able to have an orgasm. That's not fair.
And I'm positive that I'm oversimplifying, and all the scientists out there will yell at me. But the bottom line is, it might be that some women, hence, are more likely to orgasm because of the way that humans have evolved, and some are not. And so, again, it still leads to the same conclusion, which is give it your best shot, but then don't beat yourself up too much if you're a woman or a man, if there's just some anatomical things you can't get past. Support independent media and get the whole Young Turks 2-hour show and other network shows all ad-free, tytnetwork.com/join. Come join us today.